Hey Taurus, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading, general reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. I've already shuffled the cards. We're just going to hop into this reading right off the bat. From the bottom of the deck, overall for the reading, we're talking about High Priestess. Oh, the tarot here. This is my tarot card. The High Priestess here. What can you know? What can't you know? The mysteries. A spiritual card. Spirituality outside of traditional structures. All the things you cannot know. It's kind of funny for an overall, for a reading, for a tarot reading, because it is about like, yeah, I could tell you, but I'm not gonna. So things that maybe you don't know. It's things that you don't know because of the necessary unfoldingness of life. Things that you don't know now because there's a journey, and you wouldn't go on the journey. This sounds ominous. You wouldn't go on the journey if you knew what all was going to happen on it. But the point is, some of those things are going to be good things too, right? And maybe, there's an unfoldingness basically that needs to happen here. And this is about things that you can know, things that you cannot know. Maybe a spiritual quest of some kind. Past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. All right. Starting off with a lot of swords, a lot of thinking. Communication. So you have had, Ace of Swords, you have had an epiphany. A new understanding, clarity, clear communication. It came in clear as a bell. You understood something, right? The unfoldingness. It was like, maybe it was always there, but you understood it and you saw something. I want to say something that's always been there, but we don't always have eyes to see, right? I always like to think about like the color blue and how humans didn't see the color, even though we're like half the world is blue. But until you are alerted to the color blue, it just wasn't observable, just wasn't on the radar, just wasn't part of the consciousness, wasn't part of our perception of the world. But once the mind gets opened like that, now I can see it. And maybe it was in front of you the whole time, and maybe that's what this High Priestess is talking about too, is this unfoldingness, this truth that was always there for you, but you just realized it, right? Like the epiphany. The epiphany is usually a truth, right? And we're just uncovering it. In our journey, that's where it pops out. So there was some sort of truth, communication, and it was clear as a bell. Current situation, King of Swords. You may be, this could be you, this could be somebody else. This is just talking about currently where their energies are at. King of Swords. Usually a person. That's what's so funny to me when these persons like show up in different slots. I'm like, why is there a person there? But that's the way I read them, right? So this King of Swords, balanced, fair, thoughtful energy. This could be a doctor. This could be a lawyer. This could be someone who uses their mind for work. There's a sense of mastery here. This could be a professor, a sense of mastery, intellectual mastery. And it's such an intellectual mastery that they know when to break the rules. They know when there are extenuating circumstances. It's mastery, clarity with some amount of grace. Messages, a master communicator here. There could be someone who really knows what they're doing. There's mentor energy here. There's, right, you just have new information, and this is about wielding it expertly. And maybe asking someone for some help wielding it, asking for some mentorship, or maybe you've just progressed very quickly to your own ability to think this through very thoroughly. You can see all the ramifications, you can see a lot, and in some ways it almost feels paralyzing. Every swish of the sword affects somebody somewhere, and you're understanding that And so you don't swish that sword of truth and understanding meaninglessly. There is a sense of public speaking too, of all eyes being on someone here. Being watched in the public eye. All right, inner landscape, death. Ooh. Well, maybe you're dying inside. I don't know why I giggled during that, but inner transformation. How you see something is changing. How you approach something is changing. Change is inevitable. How you see yourself is changing. How you see your role in the world, in your world, is changing. There's a gracefulness to this, like, oh, life is not going to bend. I will have to be bending then. This change, right? Change comes for everyone. And this is showing up in your inner landscape. How you perceive something, how you understand something is completely changing. It's like now that you've been alerted to the color blue, you are seeing it everywhere, and it's changing how you think about things and how you approach things. So this is interchange, big interchanges. They're not reversible changes. A lot of times we think we're changing. I'm turning over a new leaf. Oh, we're not. The leaf goes back the next day or a few days later, you know. But this is big inner shifts, which is very natural and normal, right? Sometimes we have these little changes in our life, like, oh, I'm going to do things like this. I'm going to have this routine. I'm going to do this, and we don't stick with it. But this isn't like a externally applied routine. This is like a deep fundamental shift in how you see the world, which is just part of growing and being a human. It's very encouraging. You're growing. And a lot of these changes that we go through are very inevitable and very part of just the process of aging, you know, going from not wanting kids, which, you know, if you're too young, we don't need you wanting kids. And then some people will go through a very natural, normal change where that will change for them and they'll want that. And that will appeal to them where it didn't before. But that's just a very natural maturation process. So that could be what we're talking about here with this death card. It's very natural maturation process. You don't need to push it or be worried about it or anything like that. It's just very normal. And then we have justice. So some sort of injustice, something unfair happening. A lack of integrity somewhere. Imbalance. Yeah, an injustice and unfairness. Something out of balance. Messages from, I want to say, deceased loved ones possibly coming through. A lot of messages and information. We have the Justice card in reverse, which is interesting because the Justice card and the King of Swords are very similar energies. Only we have, like, if you're dealing with a justice, this could be a legal system issue, with this being a lawyer or a judge and this being some sort of injustice, or maybe an unfair judge. Judges aren't, we like to have this belief that judges are fair, but sometimes they're very much not fair. They have their own biases. It's really interesting with the High Priestess and the Justice card here on either sides of this reading. Because we have the High Priestess, what you can know and what you can't know, and then we have this sort of unfolding information that you now know. You now know that something's been unfair, or that something's out of balance or out of whack. Is there a remedy to this injustice? I'm not sure. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. In your environment, you have Three of Pentacles. You have like a work situation or work group. Three of Pentacles, there a consultation perhaps with this King of Swords. This could be like a work project. It's a group. It's more than one person, so it's more than just like a two-person team. Yeah, it does seem like a work group here in your environment. And maybe these people are supportive of you, or maybe this is where the truth is coming in and there's some sort of injustice here in this work group. But there is, it's Pentacles. It has to do with real world progress, projects, work group. Maybe someone's not pulling their weight. There's something unfair though going on with this work group. Maybe you're unionizing to address that unfairness. Maybe there's a sense of wanting to run away from it, but holding steady with this group. This group is holding together. It's like they're decorating some kind of tree together or something, like a Christmas tree. But they're working together, right? There's that teamwork. There's people you can rely on. You don't have to do it yourself, all yourself. There are other people that have roles to play and things to do. There's like an architect, an artist, and a repair person. Yeah, working together as a team. There might be a little bit of suspicion sometimes with this team, but overall it seems to be accomplishing what it set out to accomplish. Your to-do list is Hanged Man. It's interesting. As a to-do list, it's basically do nothing. See things from different perspectives. I mean, especially if your mind just got opened up to like the color blue or something like that. Then there's a sense of like looking at the world through a different perspective willingly. It's interesting because death, the Hanged Man is 12 and death is 13. So the Hanged Man this transformation that you're going through internally, you need to get, it comes from something maybe being stopped in your environment, stopping something and sitting with it and looking at it from different perspectives. Slow down. There's a slowdown here. You need to slow down with something, right? We were thinking about this Three of Pentacles, about this fast-moving energy, and these swords are very fast-moving energy, and we've got this rearing horse in death. We've got this fast-moving energy coming in here, wanting things to move really fast, but it's hitting like a tree. I want to say like the tree of life. It's hitting this tree here. And before you can pass this sort of obstacle in the middle of your path, you're going to have to hang out here and see things from a different perspective. The pace needs to change. You need to slow this whole thing way down. It reminds me of my day job. I work with the general public. And this last week I worked with someone who's making like decisions like this. Like, okay, no, I need this. No, I need that. No, put this back. I need this. And rather than letting me work through them and work through the steps, there was a lot of wasted energy with them, you know, saying, I need you to go do this and go do that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm the one in charge here. Like, let me do my job. And that's a little bit of this, different people with different skill sets. So there was just a lot of wasted energy, and they just were very quickly, it was frustrating. But if they'd slowed it down for like 2 seconds, if we'd had like been able to have a conversation, okay, what about this? Then I could have really helped them. But because it was just like, I don't like this, therefore I do this. Because the movement, the between the stimulus and the response, there was no air, there was no breathing room, there was nothing to like, okay, I don't like this. And then I could be like, okay, well, here are the solutions. I've been doing this for years. Like, I train and retrain for this. Like, here are the solutions I can bring you. But there was no space there. So it was like, I don't like this, here's the solution. And then my expertise wasn't able to come in here. So that's a lot of what I'm seeing here. And there's a reason why that story is coming up for you, because it's otherwise fairly inane work story. But the thing is, there's so much wasted energy, and we were eventually able to get what they wanted, but it took twice as much work on my part trying to help them out. when they were not allowing me to come in with my yeah. So that space, I think this is what we're wanting to create here, is more space between stimulus and response. And typically that's done with meditation. There's like 1,000 different ways to meditate, so you can find one you like. You're not doing it wrong. And if you find your mind to be really busy and you're noticing how fast it's all moving, that's part of the process. That's not wrong. That's literally the process. That's what you're supposed to be seeing then at that point. So so we're wanting to create, there's like this fast moving energy. It's hit an obstacle. You need to like, there's a slowdown here. There is like this sense of this group needs to like go back to home base or something and slow it way down. I can also see this as being like Sabbat, like in the, like we were talking about unionizing, like we were talking about like in the Industrial Revolution, the Dutch wooden shoes, the sabots, or I forget what they're called. Anyway, they would throw them in the machinery, and that's where we get our word sabotage, is to throw, you know, these wooden clogs into the machinery to get it to stop so people could do things like take breaks, go to the bathroom, go home, like do a bunch of other things. So there was a sense of like, you need to throw a shoe into some fast moving machinery so that it slows down a little bit, starts thinking things through a little bit more, seeing things from different perspectives, and gives it an opportunity to slow down a little bit. So that's what I'm seeing with this Hanged Man. You need to like throw a shoe in some fast moving machinery so that it can slow down, so people can really so people can take a minute to like think about what's going on and how they want to do it. And there just needs to be this pace change. And you're somehow the pace changer. You're somehow needing to act as a pace changer with some sort of like, maybe something was unfair, maybe it is unfair, so throw the shoe in it, and somehow that's going to be like some way in which like you can slow down some sort of runaway train. It almost is what it feels like looking at all these swords hitting up against this tree. So this tree is like, it's this tree that's going to change you, but you got to slow stuff down. Like maybe you're doing a group project and just a lot of decisions are being made, or someone's a pretty fast talker, and there's some way in which you need to like slow down this activity a little bit. I'm just really looking at this turtle up here. And we had the bunny rabbits from this one that just want to take off and move, but they're somehow glued together, sticking together. So get a different perspective. Time is on your side here. And then here we have in our possible outcome, Ace of Wands. Okay, we've had a realization at the beginning, we've had a realization, and now we're getting inspired. We knew something, we understood something, we saw the color blue, our mind opened to it suddenly, and now here we're figuring out what we want to do with it, how it's inspiring. And this Ace of Wands is also a very spiritual card. It's also very much a spiritual journey. Like it's like you saw something and now it's like awakened you to some sort of thing. And maybe this is all just a runaway intellectual exercise that's devoid of spirituality, or devoid of the creative part or the creative aspect, which is all very mysterious, working with our muses. But here the muse comes in. And I love this owl here too. The owl being such a spiritual animal, with such a vision, such an otherworldly vision. And it's like, that's what's missing. And when you slow this whole thing down a little bit, when you slow it down, you can like, that creates the quietness and the silence for this like inspired, spiritual, creative aspect to actually enter, right? Because our muses can be a little bit skittish. So sometimes we're working with people and the pace can be really fast, and but this is like something needs to slow down so that you can cue into a new aspect of it, a new understanding of it. So we have 2 aces. So some new beginning, some new project, possibly some new group that you're working with. And we have the High Priestess, the spiritual card. So that's why I'm seeing the wands can be spirituality, sexuality, and creativity. So it's all kind of jumbled up there. So there could be like a sexual component to this as well, but something needs to slow way down, and you need to slow something way down, and that's going to provide sort of the safety for this skittish little muse to come out and actually co-create with you, excite you, and inspire you. It's like it's right there. It just needs the space to come forward. So in some ways, this Hangman could be a meditation card of like, this is right here. You need to slow down, and something you will be inspired. So this maybe is like just all an intellectual exercise, and you're just sort of a intellectual workhorse right now. Work, going, and then you hit some sort of wall, and that wall is there to tell you to stop. It's almost like you're doing some sort of creative project. You had a really good idea, and you're moving, and then you hit this creative block, and it's causing you to stop, and you have to stop, and you have to give in to that, and you have to stop and allow your mind to transform, allow your mind to change, allow your whole, right, this is upside down, flipped around, your perspective, your whole energy to change, giving it space to do that. And then you can get re-inspired and get going. So if you've got like, these all fell on the floor, so I'm getting them. If you've got writer's block or something like that, like this is saying give into the writer's block and go do something else or slow the pace down. All right, what do we got for chiromancy here? Synchronicity, guardians of the land, protection. This could be like protecting your spirit through some sort of intellectual process. This isn't just an intellectual process. And this could be what the Justice card is there's an imbalance here between intellect and inspiration. You got this epiphany and you've really thought it through, but there also needs to be a little mystery here. Yeah, it almost was like you're doing a creative project and you got really into like the plan and the outline and all of that, and forgot about the creative part of creative expression, of the mystery, the muse. Forgot about the muse here. Forgot about the unexpected and the delight of creation, in all of the grids and the plans and the timelines and all of that. Like there's a sense of something's been lost there, something's out of balance. And that is the creative aspect, the connection with the divine, when we really feel creativity moving through us. So anyway, guardians of the land, protection. This has a stag in here and some mushrooms. Maybe that's what this Ace of Wands is. Go find you some mushrooms. Hummingbird spirit, joy. So this is actually my synchronicity card of all synchronicity cards. So I've probably told you the story before, but so looking for a hummingbird and bringing joy. And that's what I feel like this is that inspiration and that joy that we're wanting to bring back into a process that's gotten a little out of balance, a little too intellectual. Enchanted Fern Grotto, refuge. I like this, protection and refuge coming in together. So if you see a unicorn too, but also Enchanted Fern Grotto, you might come across an Enchanted Fern Grotto in the woods. It's an important place for you. Refuge and protection, and I see this with Hanged Man too, like finding that refuge and protection from some sort of busy, frenetic process that's gotten a little out of balance, and finding that joy again in some kind of process, that spiritual connection. There's something very spiritual about creative energies. There's a sense of being in touch with something beyond yourself. I don't know if it's just like doubt that we ourselves can be that creative, or if we really are, you know, experiencing some otherworldly inspiration. All right. Final little prayer for you. Jolly jellyfish, acceptance, faith, transparency. Fluid form floating in the sea, release my doubt and let my light shine. I feel like this seems very appropriate. Releasing your doubt and letting your light shine. This is, I think, this little light of mine, that inner light, that inner spirit, finding a way to shine out into an intellectual process or a very logical process. That's where the imbalance is. It's between logic and spirit, and there's an imbalance there. All right, so yes, letting your light shine. All right, hopefully that was helpful for you. Join me over on Vimeo. Did I forget to say this? Over on Vimeo, we're having love readings. I don't know, that seemed to work last time. So we're going to go do that over there. So join me over there if you want. If not, I'll catch you next time. Ciao, Taurus.